What's up, Rewatchables fans? As you know, we've done live shows in New York, in Philly, in DC, in Chicago, LA many times. We've never done Boston. I've been saving it for the right moment. The right moment is here. It's going to be Thursday, March 27th. It's going to be the House of Blues, which is right by Fenway Park. And it's going to be the Dream Team. Me, Chris Ryan, Sean Fennessy, and Ryan Russillo. That's right. We're all coming back. We're not doing the town. We're not touching the town. That one episode lives on forever on YouTube, Spotify. We're not redoing it. But we'll probably do a Boston movie. All information will be on theringer.com/events very soon. Once again, the Rewatchables Live, Boston, Thursday, March 27th, House of Blues, ringer.com/events. And we're going to have a couple more things we're doing that weekend too. So I'm very excited. We have not come to Boston yet, and we're going to do it right. Hope to see you there. The Rewatchables is brought to you by the Ringer Podcast Network. We are now available on video on Spotify. We have a YouTube channel as well that you can find on Ringer Movies. Van Lathan is here. You can find him on Higher Learning. You can find him on Midnight Boys. Beep, beep.
Pew, pew. Come on, you know that.
He's just fucking with me, man.
Yeah.
He did this the last time, too. It's pew, pew.
Beep, beep. Chris Ryan. What are you up to?
he's like the Roadrunner and the Coyote now.
Yeah.
I make the watch.
Oh,
podcast.
great.
Yeah, with Andy
a lot of good
Greenwald.
TV
Twice a
lately.
week. There's some great television on. Yeah,
that's great. Well, I'm Bill, and we're about to do Rocky, one of the most important movies of the last 50 years. Let's go.
His name is Syllvester Stallone. He's the star of a new film called Rocky. He has been described as handsome, tough, talented, sexy, sensitive, dynamic, and brilliant. He's been compared to Brando, Newman, Pacino, and De Niro. He's been called a top contender for an Academy Award. Syllvester Stallone in Rocky, rated PG.
All right, I'm going to start here. Rocky is now a prequel for Rocky 3. Prove me wrong.
No, you're right.
That's so funny. Like I wrote, it's coming up in the category, like prequel. I'm like, this movie is a prequel.
It is the prequel.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most important, I think, movies of the last 50 years. I'm going to make a case, and it's prototype for sports movies. And yet now, all these years later, I'm like, oh, I like how they're setting this up for the pinball machine in Rocky 3.
I was trying to think of an example of what happens in Rocky 1, and it's basically imagine if Godfather was entirely about Kate and Michael not in New York City. Kate and Michael just hanging out, going on dates, going to the movies, you know, like reading books to each other, checking out the Sunday Times.
Going to a skating
And then
rink.
at the very end, like, Don Corleone dies, you know, and like, and he's like, I have to take over the family. So it's like, it's crazy. The boxing does not happen until the last 13 minutes of this movie.
Shockingly absent from the film. The lore of the Rocky movies, after you watch all of them and then you come back to this one, what a quaint, emotionally devastating film.
Mid-70s character study.
Character study of a guy that's trying to like take this opportunity for the rest of his life. Something that's super duper relatable.
Yeah, it's funny because from a rewatchable standpoint, and this movie's in the running for probably most rewatched movies on cable and just diving in halfway through it. But you never watch the first half hour of it when it's just establishing over and over again what a loser he is.
Yeah.
It's usually not in the rewatch thing. You'll come in and be like, oh shit, he's taking the Apollo fight. I'm going to start watching.
Yeah.
And there's just some gut-wrenching scenes in that first 30 minutes, which is why it ended up winning Best Picture. But
is that also why you've been a little bit reticent to do it?
No.
On the pod?
I just wanted to do Rocky 3 first because I think it's one of the great movies of all time. When I say it's one of the most influential movies of the past 15 years, the case would be this. Created the sports movie prototype, like just period. Created the underdog, the modern version of that underdog. There's millions of movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that did this, but this nailed it to the point that you would just compare. It could be sports, it could be non-sports. If there was like that kind of Rocky type of character, it'd be like, oh, this is like Rocky. And then just the beats of like something leading to the big game, big event, whatever, which I guess you could say Longest Yard started it, but once Rocky did this.
But I was wondering if this is the first time you remember seeing in a movie sports narratives and storylines getting manipulated from behind the scenes in a kind of dark arts way to create a sensation, right? Because like all the stuff that Apollo and Jurgens are doing where they're like, well, we got to pick this guy because they'll believe in this guy. And this is like how we're going to do this. And what I'm going to do is knock him out here, you know? And it's like all the stuff that feels like it's not the pure athleticism and the triumph of like the little guy over the big guy. It's like actually like there's all this other stuff happening in the grimy, seedy underbelly.
So like what else was doing that before this? Probably nobody.
I can't remember. I couldn't really think of an example of a sports movie that did that, where it's like, here's all this gross shit happening underneath. I'm sure there's like 1930s and 40s boxing movies where like a mafia guy is trying to get a boxer to take a dive or whatever. But Apollo is like manipulating the media in this.
Certainly. It's a movie that at its heart is about this guy's golden opportunity.
Yeah.
But then it also gets into why that's happening.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to believe someplace right now that people are having a conversation about you that's going to end in you doing this great, amazing thing. And then to watch that happen and then watch the guy that it's happening to, knowing that he did absolutely zero to like deserve it. It's all
right. Turns down the fight when it's offered to him.
Yeah.
Right. Immediately turns it down.
Like, I don't deserve to be in the ring with that guy. He's that self-aware.
But it's the thing that's going to save his life and propel him. Like, legitimately, in the last scene of the movie, when Adrian is walking to the ring, like, her hat falls off. Like, her hat falls off. She looks back for the hat. That version of her is gone now.
Yeah.
Like, the mousy, like, I don't know that I'm beautiful. I'm trying to hide from the world version.
And then the Rocky 3 version's coming.
Yeah.
She's looking
She's
great.
got to go into a coma first. But then,
Rocky 3 Adrian looks fantastic.
So it's like the movie just tells this unbelievable story that everybody wishes was their story.
Yeah. Guy, loser, got nothing going, gets his one chance, actually comes through, gets the girl, and then it's ripped off for the next 48, 49 years, which I think is unfairly held against this. The only other nitpick is just that there's some slow parts. I think this is one of the 5 movies I've seen the most, just because it's been around for so long. And
was this like an early, like watching it on cable over and over again, or did you have it on tape? You didn't see this in the theater, right? Did you?
I did. I have a whole story.
Okay.
I saw in Dedham, Massachusetts with my dad. 1976.
This must have been big in Boston.
There were not a lot of non-whites in the theater. I'll just say that.
You guys are, fuck
get him, get him.
Get off our buses.
Well, it wasn't a diverse crowd in Dedham. But first of all, it was amazing. Like, I just never had been to a movie like that. But leaving, my big memory was being confused whether he won the fight or not, and asking my dad, like, but what was the scorecard? Like,
right.
He did, but they said 8-7 Apollo, and then they never said what the rest of the card was. And I was just so confused. And then, upon rewatches, you realize what happened. But
see, I was very much more. I think I might have first seen Rocky 4 in the theater.
Yeah,
went backwards. So Rocky 1 exists in this really weird,
in the prequel world.
Yeah, well, it just is like when you watch it when you're younger, you're kind of like, this sucks. Like, this guy's a loser. Everything's does not paint like the most flattering portrait of Philadelphia. And you're just kind of like, oh man, this is a real bummer. I much prefer 2 and 3 and 4. But then as you get older, I think you see the artistry of it and you realize it's part of like in context, it's essentially like Stallone making Mean Streets.
If you first see Rocky 3 or 4, like I did as well, it's not even the same species of human that Rocky is. Yeah. They have discovered the steroids by the time 3 and 4 have come along. They don't even look the same. Rocky 1 those movies are action movies, essentially. Like
Rocky 3.
Rocky 3. Those like are big action movies. It's really all about the physicality of the film. Of course, there's the character stuff in there too.
Crossed with like a music video where it just moves from big sequence to big sequence.
Right. Like this one, you got to give yourself some space with it. For a long time, I didn't enjoy it at all. The more I started to actually live life and understand and got the understanding that life is a lot more like Rocky 1 than it is like Rocky 3. Yeah. The movie just, it gained a lot of real estate with me.
Well, it also feels very mid-70s as a movie. This ties into a lot of other great movies. I mean, this is such an unbelievable time for movies, that 74 to 78 stretch. And just the way they did it, I just think even 5 years later, the movie's different. Like we're only, They make this in 76. We're 8 years away from Karate Kid, which is the 2.0 version of this movie.
Yeah.
And that is a completely different movie in every respect. This is slow. It's really trying to build character. It's trying to have these little moments. It's a love story. It has some characters that are
also like
awful.
when you talk about Karate Kid and you even talk about movies like, I don't know, the John Hughes movies and even up to Top Gun, it's just a much different portrait of like American life because this is so urban. And then you see movies sort of start to look towards the suburbs for storytelling because it's a lot safer and cleaner and prettier to do that. But this is so like, it looks like the Depression, you know, like when you're...
Takes you into a world, which we love on the Rewatchables.
Yeah, those movies have a lot of style to them too.
Yeah.
You know, you got, Cruel Summer and all of that stuff. This film is just devastatingly emotional.
Yeah.
Like it really makes you believe.
How many times did you tear up?
You know what's funny? Like I cried, literally cried when Rock is yelling at the door and Mick is walking away and he's talking about the fact that he's felt abandoned by him.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
What about my prime?
And then I hate the character. I've always hated this character. This character is my number one op in film history. Paulie. My number one op in film history.
We have a lot of Paulie stuff coming.
Yeah, but like the Paulie stuff, Paulie is just a more desperate version of Rocky because he can't even box.
Yeah.
He's Rocky without the boxing. So like he has nothing to take him out of his situation other than his proximity to this guy. That's pretty desperate.
We have to go backwards to 76 because I just need to, because I'm old enough to remember this. I can't explain what a giant phenomenon this was. You know, like Jaws in 75, this in 76, Saturday Night Fever in 77, Star Wars in 77, where these movies would hit and then there would be like 7, 8 different outcomes from the movie hitting. And in this one, like the music, people started jogging, like for real.
Yeah.
And maybe they were jogging before this movie, but I never remember seeing anyone jog before this movie came out.
You had a big Forrest Gump, like reinvigorated jogging, but you think Rocky started jogging?
I feel like people always claim Jim Fix, but I always feel like Rocky, the concept of just people training and being motivated to train. I remember, I'm not kidding, I was a little kid being in the living room because I was an only child, and I'd play the Rocky soundtrack. And I would just be in the main event, boxing Apollo and just running around. Like, you know, you fake playing, you're like hitting yourself and doing, and you're listening to the music. Da, 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 da. Like this movie was.
So you boxed Apollo, you were a Rocky and Apollo?
I was Rocky.
Oh, you were Rocky.
I was Rocky. I was like fighting the
Rocky?
fighting the sofa cushion.
Which one of your friends?
Which one of your non-white friends?
I was by myself.
Oh.
But this is what you did with this movie.
You Apollo, come here, put your face over here.
This is what you did though. You jogged to this movie. You shadow boxed to it.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of it was just Stallone going from never heard of this person before to this person's now in my life. And then think about how he's been in our life. I mean, I don't know how many rewatchables we've done with him at this point, but I don't know if there's been a bigger rags to riches actor story than this.
Also,
it's Tarantino crossed with acting almost.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of also the people who have broken big and then stayed big with the story of making the movie mirrors the movie itself. You know, like his self-belief, I believe in, like, I'm betting on myself on this one. And if it means I can't even make the movie at all, I'm not going to compromise. And to actually like catapult yourself into this kind of level of fame is astonishing.
He had to, first of all, everyone had to deliver to such a ridiculous level. The script is perfect.
It's really well written, and it's hilarious that Sly Stallone wrote it because it's like
it's really cool reading William Goldman break it down.
Yeah,
and he talks a lot about like the locker scene and all the different things you learn about Rocky from just him hitting the locker to open it up.
One of my favorite script, like just little touches, is when they watch the interview on TV and they're kind of making fun of him in the interview after he takes the fight. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. And then he walks away and Adrian's kind of watching him leave. He's like, you remember when I said this stuff didn't bother me?
It did.
It did. And then he just walks up and be like, oh man, this fucking guy. Can you buy a break? Can we just buy this guy a break?
Is there a time, this is going to sound really whatever, but is there a time in a movie before this to where the old sports trope of watching the guy talk about, like, Apollo's on TV.
Yeah.
and like Apollo's on TV, and you're the first time you see like you see them talking about it, you see them talking about the fight, and you're watching them on TV. They do that in sports movies like all the time now.
No, this was a completely invented. This is why this is such an influential movie. We could talk
about a million different things.
I mean, I'll say this. I think until Rod Tidwell, I think Apollo was the best kind of side sports movie character ever.
Yeah.
Like, if you actually watch all the Apollo scenes carefully in this movie, he's a fucking amazing character.
Oh,
he's like a
awesome.
businessman, the way he talks, he's charismatic. He's doing partly Ali, but he's also, I don't think Ali was like a businessman like this. Like, he's a thinker. Like, he's the one who figures out what to do in that fight.
Mhm.
And you just get a complete feel for him. You want to spend more time with him. And I have him in the finals against Rod Tidwell.
It's an interesting thing that he is the character that is in this movie utilizing race and capitalism,
Right.
all of that stuff against the everyman.
The Italian stallion.
Right. It's almost, it takes that, there's a specific
Because he
prism.
knows.
Yeah.
He knows what's going to sell. And it's like, he's got to fight a white guy
But it's
from
a
Philly.
great juxtaposition too, because the 3 or 4 of the main characters of this movie are like almost nonverbal. They're like barely articulate.
Right.
That was
No, but
bad.
like
No, you're right. I mean, that was
Adrian,
like a
Pauly,
nice way to put it.
Yeah, like I mean, Adrian Pauly and Rocky are kind of like either drunk, shy to the point of petrification, or like brain dead.
Yeah.
And then
Adrian's basically Raymond Babbitt for the first 40 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, until he pulls the glasses off.
She's like
Yeah.
playing with the Cincinnati
Yeah.
Reds baseball cards.
He awoken something in her.
But then
He sure did.
Yeah. But so you basically like when Apollo is narrating all this stuff of like, I don't want Bob Justice or whoever the fuck
Yeah.
he was going to fight. Like that's the only thing that kind of keeps this movie going for a while, because otherwise it's just people wandering around in the dark. Like
And the promoter's great too. Like
Juergens? Yeah.
every Juergens moment is great, but there's that scene when they're just beating the shit out of each other in the end, and it just cuts to him. He's just sitting there with like his fucking cigar, just like, box office.
And then even when Apollo's going through, and he clearly lost the fight, you could watch the movie 15 times in a row and Apollo lost, right? But
He definitely lost the first 2 rounds.
yeah, so
I guess 14 might have been a 10-8.
and it's like there's a statement that the movie is making about how cynical Apollo was about picking Rocky.
and how he doesn't train hard enough. And
Exactly.
everything,
And the whole
That was
thing.
one of the big scenes when the meat locker, whatever that scene when Duke's watching it. It's like, yo,
Oh,
man,
he can hear them. He
this
can hear the
this guy
punches.
means business.
Yeah.
And Apollo's like, yeah, I mean business too. And he's just like reading the Wall Street Journal.
Right. It's just,
I love him. Apollo is so great.
but that character in a way, that's a revolutionary character.
No question.
Particularly as a black man right there, to be the guy that he's the one that's talking specifically about America and the American dream and everything that American.
And he's like conducting a little bit of a symphony. He was like, well, it's Philly. They're going to go for this Italian guy, Columbus, the bicentennial. Like he's
also-
orchestrating a story.
Right.
It's 6 years after they wouldn't let Ali fight.
Yeah.
And this is like clearly like it's an Ali-based character. And the reason Stallone came up with the idea for the movie is he's watching Webner Ali in 75, which was the real life version of this. Webner ends up suing him and undisclosed settlement.
Yeah.
But that's part of the lore of the movie is Stallone watched that fight. Webner was like this, there's been documentaries, movies about him, but he's banged up face.
Got
He's
destroyed,
getting killed
yeah.
by Ali, but last 15 rounds. Stallone's so inspired, pumps out the movie in 3.5 days.
Can I ask a question about going back to what you guys were talking about? Would Good Will Hunting be in the same mode of a movie where the guys just went, fuck it, we're going to make our own movie and explodes?
Yeah, the only
into-
difference though is
They
those
have been
guys,
around for a while.
but those guys had been in movies. Affleck and
They
Damon,
had
like
been
they
in-
hadn't had their A-list break, but they had been in stuff. Like Affleck was in Chasing Amy the year before, and Damon was in a bunch of stuff. I think he'd gotten the Rainmaker by then. He was
Yeah.
in School Ties.
Yeah, the Rainmaker hits almost.
Stallone
at
was
the
in
same time.
Paradise Alley. That was it.
Right.
And I think also, I mean, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look, but like, I don't know that Damon and Affleck would have said no if they were like, we're going to make this script, but like these 2 giant movie stars are going to be, and you guys get paid for the script. Like, I think they may have been like, hey, we're keeping it moving, and I don't know. It was like Stallone was basically like,
This
I'm
has to
either
be me, yeah.
writing it and starring in it, or it's not getting made.
Well, there was a piece that I didn't know about how he sold it to ABC with Henry Winkler
Yeah.
because they worked together. And then ABC was basically like, we're changing everything. Thanks for the script. Here's some money. And he convinced Winkler to give it back to him.
Well, no, and crucially, it's like Winkler has to go back to ABC, ask for the script back. They're like, no thanks.
But he's the Fonz.
And then he's like, I'm Fonzie. Like, so if you don't want to fuck with Happy Days, you'll give it back or you sell it back to me at cost.
And then it's this 2-year dance or 1-year dance, however long it was, of people wanting to buy the script, but put a famous actor in there.
Or Khan or whatever.
And I got to say, it's an amazing, in the bet on your, if there was the bet on yourself book, Stallone betting on himself is a chapter.
Yeah.
I'll take way less money. I have to star in it. I want to be the writer and star.
Is there a version of Stallone's career where he is primarily a writer? That he's more of a filmmaker, actor? If he just sells,
I think he's too charismatic.
But
I don't know.
He has suggested, or like when he talks about it, like I think that he has suggested that that's like a career he would have happily had, you know, like that he really wanted to be a filmmaker and he thinks of himself as an artist more than like, you know, in some ways, like Rocky is golden handcuffs, right? He's returned to this franchise over the decades so many times, but
Rambo too, Rambo.
Yeah, but I wonder if he's like, I would have liked to have made more movies that are like on the waterfront or whatever, you know, I mean.
Well, he definitely, he didn't write First Blood. He, you know, Rocky, the moment this comes out, it's like, all right, let's make Rocky 2. Come on, guys. What are we waiting for? And then that comes out. And then he's trying, he's in Nighthawks, he's in Victory. But then he has that second run with Rocky 3 and First Blood same year. And then that's it. He has one of the best, probably 6-year A-list movie star runs ever. All seemed inconceivable if you watch Rocky 1. He's got to lose weight. He's got to look more leading man. It was tough to separate Rocky from Stallone. You know, like he's in Nighthawks, he grew a beard.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'm street cop Stallone. But and then he's in Victory, he loses a ton of weight and he's the goal. And it's like, all right, it's still Rocky. And it really took him until I would say 82, 83 to be Stallone.
Yeah. And then obviously he spends most of his career like in and out of that persona really until Copland.
Yeah.
You know?
We've done
another physical transformation there. Yeah.
By the way, this is our 11th Stallone Rewatchables. He's moved into the top 5.
What all have you guys done?
He's tied. We've done a bunch of them.
I thought you might crash into Hackman at the last second here.
Well, I'm waiting for the results. Cruise 15, De Niro, Pacino 13, Denzel and Stallone 11. That's our top 5.
Wow.
It's an awesome top 5.
How many more Stallones are still sitting there? Are you scouting? Are you at the combine looking at Stallone
There's
movies?
a couple good ones left.
Yeah.
We haven't done Lockup. We haven't done Daylight.
Lockup.
You a Daylight fan?
I like Daylight.
Stallone has to save.
You did Cliffhanger, right?
We did Cliffhanger. I was ready to do it again though.
But see, the Stallones, I mean,
Rambo 2 we haven't done.
So you're never going to do Cobra, right?
Murdoch. Did Cobra already.
Did Cobra?
Oh, fuck yeah. I love Cobra.
Have you done Tango and Cash?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Well, you got Tango and Cash is one of my favorite movies.
Well, we can
Talked about
re-tango.
Re-tango?
Yeah, we'll re-tango
one of my
it.
favorite movies.
Let's we'll take a break, come back a little more to talk about this movie. Just quickly on the ultimate sports movie recipe, surprise out of nowhere star, killer supporting parts. So we mentioned Apollo Creed, but you also have Mickey. You have Paulie, the least likable character, probably of the 1970s, other than maybe Travis Bickle. And then Adrian. And then you have Gazzo, the loan shark guy.
Oh my God.
And you have Gazzo's driver, the funniest character probably of the 1970s.
Yeah.
And then you have Juergens.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Duke, who's not named in Rocky 1 and eventually becomes Duke. Apollo was like a son to me.
Yeah.
I raised him. When he died, a part of me died too.
Duke has some all-time heaters.
Yeah. Why wasn't Duke?
Duke has some.
Duke's the best.
The guy's all wrong for us. Like Duke. Yeah. Like Duke has some.
I don't like Southpaws.
Right? Like Duke has some all-time heaters when you just let Duke cook, man.
So we got the killer supporting parts. We got the perfect underdog story. Great music. Great all-time sports movie music. Multiple chill scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I always call them chill scenes when you're watching like the
Arms
Gonna Fly
your,
Now and he starts racing the boat and you're like, ah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the great ending. This is the recipe. This is the recipe that was then copied for 48 years.
When you were watching this, I know you're kids, maybe you just assume, but like, were you watching this being like, and of course, like Rocky's got to win at the end, right? Like,
oh yeah.
So the sports movie like idea of like
this was Bad News Bears too. Those were the two movies that year that flipped. Oh, you think they're going to win at the end? Watch this, and then they don't win.
something else about the movie, to me, it establishes the sports movie to where a victory for our main character is this transformational victory for all of our supporting characters too. Like everybody learns a lesson along with Rock. Like
Paulie got $3,000.
Paulie, like Rock pulls everybody, Mickey, everyone. Like by the time you get to like Cinderella Man, you realize that he's not just fighting for him, he's fighting for Giamatti, he's fighting for, and like everyone kind of gets pulled out of their thing by what this guy does.
Well, some other stuff, other piece of this big picture. We mentioned the Stallone Breakout movie. Adrian is not a wet blanket in this movie. But we get to Rocky IV and it's full bloom, like doesn't even go to Russia with him. I think for the most part, a really great sports movie girlfriend in this one.
Huh.
Like just additive, supportive. Wants him to win. Loves him so much she can't go out there to watch the fight. Doesn't want to see him get, but then can't resist. Has to come out.
A different time in the American economy when a woman could make a living working in an exotic fish store in
Right.
South Philadelphia or in Kensington. Yeah.
Never more than one customer in there. the
How much
heart
we
of
make
downtown
today, Adrian?
Philly.
$6.
And they're just getting fucked over.
$6. Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Did those caviar eggs sell yet?
We're providing a big service to the community.
Yeah,
Gigantic.
we're right across the scummy gym and a porn theater. I don't know where everyone is today.
Yeah.
Adrian, you know,
The guy singing doo-wop can use the toilet. So, you know, we play our part.
all white doo-wop group.
We're going to get to it.
Stallone's bro.
Yeah, all
Frank.
white doo-wop group. Loved it.
Your Mickey thoughts?
So, you know, having been around the boxing gym a lot, everybody in there is essentially Mickey. Like, you know, they have their favorites. They do the whole, you're not putting enough into your boxing career. When I was a kid, I didn't like Mickey. I thought that Mickey sucked. As I got older, something changed. I'll tell you what it is. When you get older, the first thing you lose patience for is people squandering their talent and their ability. That's the first thing that goes. I didn't know why people used to do that to me, like when I was a kid. I'd be like, look how big Van is. And one of my uncles would be like, yeah, he ain't gonna do nothing with it. I'd be like, God damn, I'm eating my cereal. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But like now when I look at Mickey and I go, he was so disappointed in Rocky because he saw what Rocky could have been. And that's why he was treating him like shit. So that's a character that you kind of age with. Because at first, when I first saw the movie, I was like, well, I had seen the old one that Rocky loves Mickey so much. I was like, why? He's kind of an asshole for the first part.
Rock's he's coming into the gym smoking a lung dart. Hey, where's my locker? Hold on, is there an ashtray?
Mick gives his locker away. Mick
to the dipper.
Continuously tells him how shitty he is, and then becomes kind of grifter when the $150,000 deal comes by. Now
it's such an important scene.
It's an incredible scene. It's
Flips
also
it.
like shows Mick in this like incredibly, I mean, maybe not self-consciously vulnerable way where he's like, look at the newspaper clipping of me. And you're just like, oh, this is a guy who has newspaper clippings about himself like stuffed into his pockets. Like he's kind of pathetic
Still
in some
wants
ways.
it,
Yeah.
I got hot, but I ain't got no locker, do I, Mick?
Yeah.
Tough one. That's
Makes
a great
sense. It's
scene.
like I'm 75 years old. Like it never happened for me.
Yeah.
I just want to be around anyone who still has the chance that it could happen for them.
So this movie won 3 Oscars: Best Picture, Director, and Editing. 10 nominations. First sports film ever to win Best Picture. This was kind of an amazing Oscars year.
Let's talk about it.
It beats All the President's Men, Network, Taxi Driver, and Bound for Glory.
Jesus Christ.
John Avildsen wins for Best Director. He beats Alan J. Pakula for All the President's Men, Ingmar Bergman, Sidney Lumet for Network, and whoever did Seven Beauties. And then Stallone loses to Peter Finch in Network. De Niro loses as Travis Bickle. And William Holden.
I would make the argument that I think Holden's better in Network than Peter Finch, but aside from that, like
that's probably a De Niro year if we're redoing that one.
Yeah.
And then Talia Shire not nominated, but we do have Burgess Meredith and Burt Young both nominated, but Jason Robards wins for All the President's Men. All right, you're relitigating this. Who wins in 76?
So for Best Picture, definitely, I think All the President's Men should have won Best Picture. And now you can make the argument that Taxi Driver cinematically is more importantly, like in movie history, but I just think All the President's Men is a perfect Oscar Best Picture movie. What do you think?
I would go Well, Network's really great though.
Yeah.
Network's really it.
I would go All the President's Men for movie, and I would go Scorsese for Best Director.
But the important part here is it's not Rocky.
It's not Rocky, but I think that speaks to how unique the movie was. And part of what made people respond to it was they just never seen anything like this.
The
and
awards,
it really affected them.
The Oscars fall for phenomena a lot. And if the movie was a phenomenon that you say it was, they get swept up in that. It's a very relatable.
It's like Crash.
Yeah. Jesus.
$1.1 million budget, made $225 million, spawned 5 sequels and 3 Creed movies, so 8 sequels overall.
I wonder how that money got chopped up.
1.1 made 225, but it's got to be so much more than 225 when you factor in the sequels.
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be a multi-billion-dollar franchise, right?
Right.
Like $4 billion,
I
$3
wonder how
billion.
they even quantify like the economic impact it had on Philadelphia. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have points on that, but like, it's crazy how this is like in a lot of ways, a world-changing movie.
Yeah, like video games, cartoons. It creates an American mythology. Like Rocky is not a movie character. He's like more akin to like, I don't know, Paul Bunyan.
You refer to Rocky as like, oh, it's like a Rocky story.
Yeah.
This guy's coming out of nowhere. I mean, we still do it today.
Yeah, you could say Rocky, Jaws, Saturday Night Fever, and The Godfathers just like created this new form of pop culture, at least a piece of it.
But the
right?
crazy part about it is when you watch it, you would never think that. Like when you watch the first 45 minutes of Rocky, you're like, wow, I'm watching a really, really sad character study.
Yeah, this is like
loser.
an indie movie.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert, our guy, 4 stars last week for Crash. 4 stars this week for Rocky. A description of it would sound like a cliche from beginning to end, but Rocky isn't about a story. It's about a hero, and it's inhabited with supreme confidence by a star. His name is Syllvester Stallone. Just raves and raves and raves. Raj love story. What's the exact perfect age to see this movie? What do you guys think?
13.
I had 13.
Do you need to be in puberty and care about girls a little bit, or just care about romantic relationships a little bit? Because otherwise you're going to be really bored for the first 2/3 of this.
I said 13 in 1993, but like now, at this particular time, I think you'd have to be like 26 or 27.
Okay.
Like I think that the kids that watch this, that would watch the movie now, a lot of them, they're not going to stick it out with Rocky through the early parts.
I know
of
my
this.
kids didn't. My kids wanted to watch Rocky 3 and Rocky 4.
Yeah.
This was too slow, first 45. Most rewatchable scene. I got to start. I have a bunch. I have probably too many, but I love the beginning with the Spider Rico fight. Pre-credits. The headbutt gets me. I like the smoke after the fight when Spider Rico is just lying on the bed. You got lucky. And it goes right into, I like when they get paid. Spider gets $17.20. Rocky gets $40.55.
I love that they're taking taxes out on these guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to the government.
And then he walks out and we go in to take it back with our diverse doo-wop group.
Yeah.
And then we're into the opening credits.
Just to back up a second, if you don't get the theme song and the title sequence and the fight in the beginning of this movie, I think a lot of people would be like, what the fuck am I watching? Because it gives you the sense, if you just start with this guy like wandering through the night, Philadelphia, smoky.
Yeah.
Like, I think people would be like, yo, I thought this was a sports movie, you know, but this gives you, hey, just so you know, at some point, it's coming.
Yeah.
And this guy can fight.
Right.
And so you stick
Ben, do you
around.
think you could take Spider Rico?
No. I don't know. I'm pretty good in the ring though.
Couple rounds?
Maybe. I'll tell you one thing about that scene though. That is one of the worst in terms of like aesthetically boxing movie scenes ever. And it's interesting.
Because of the boxing or because of
there's this portrayal of the sport. When I say worse, I mean the way it talks about boxing. Unflattering is what I meant to say. This portrayal of the sport that these guys are in there just killing themselves for nothing. It's completely dirty. It's corrupt. It's just the worst part of it.
The fans are awful.
Fans are awful, the whole deal. And the first thing Rocky says is, when can I fight again?
Yeah.
Like there's something that he's putting himself through and the first thing you go is like, why? And that question is answered at the end of the movie. The end of the movie takes the entire movie to answer the question of why would someone put themselves through what Rocky's going through in the first scene. It's because you could possibly, Mick, everyone is chasing that, walking out there at the end. And so that kind of pays it off. But when I watched that scene, the first, like, it's fucking disgusting and terrible and exploitive in the whole night.
And I was thinking about how they, in Creed, which very closely follows some of the structures of Rocky, like the first fight is in Tijuana and it's like, no, Creed can fucking fight. Like Creed's knocking this dude out. Like, and it's not like, oh, like this, why is this guy fighting? You're like, you watch him, you're like, he can fight. Gloves. Yeah.
But remember that in Creed, he hits the guy who already knows that it's over. Yeah.
I'm combining 3 small scenes together because they're all in a row. Apollo breaking out his bicentennial plan. Apollo, I like it. It's very American. No, Jurgens, it's very smart. Right into Gazzo's driver. Hey, Rock, I heard she's retarded. Take her to the zoo. I hear retards like the zoo. I'm sorry to say the R word.
It's so very nice. Yeah.
It's so, the driver is like the worst human being probably ever. And every time he pops up, I'm like, the driver.
1975 thing in this movie.
Rock, I like when Rock has had enough of it. And he just goes after him.
Yeah. I'm right here. This guy why does he hate Rocky so much? What did Rocky do?
Well, Rocky's not a very good collector. Rocky's letting a lot of guys off. Not breaking enough thumbs.
Well, then we get right from there back to the office with Apollo going, this is what I'm looking for. The Italian stallion. He's southpaw. I'm like, you mess around with southpaws. I like that whole section. Jurgens making Rocky the offer.
Great
right
scene.
into the press conference. I fight in clubs. I'm really a ham and egger. We stopped using the phrase ham and egger.
Him asking the secretary for the business card back so that he can keep it as like a keepsake piece of memorabilia.
There's so many good subtle touches like that in this movie.
Like,
you're right.
Oh yeah, this guy thinks this is like the only like the closest he's ever going to get to success is being in this office, so he wants to keep everything he gets from it.
He thinks he could be a sparring partner.
It's funny. This movie is the definition of a rewatchable. Because we know that we're looking at Rocky Balboa.
I know.
Yeah.
Like we he doesn't know that he's Rocky Balboa, but we know.
It's like a superhero movie.
Yeah. Like we know that we're looking at Rocky Balboa. So we
don't know he's going to end the Cold War.
Right. The whole deal. He's going to go on to become, he's already got like 21 losses, but he's going to he's going to go on to become one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Right.
The whole night. Like we know we're looking at him.
Rocky, do you believe America is the land of opportunity? I said this to CR in 2011.
I did.
When I was trying to get him to come to Grantland. It's like, CR, do you believe? I also love, I just want to say hi to my girlfriend, Yo Adrian. And then this is when I said this stuff on TV didn't bother me none. It did. Mickey trying to convince Rocky to hire him, we mentioned.
Yeah, of course.
I never had no management. That's the trouble. But now I got all this knowledge. I got it up here, and I want to give it to you. I want to give you this knowledge. I want to take care of you. I want to make sure that all the shit that happened to me doesn't happen to you. You know what I mean?
If I said...
Listen to me. I want to be your manager. You follow that, do you?
The monologue improvised?
I love the door opening and closing because he thinks Mickey left, but he didn't. Then he slams the door again. Then he opens and he just starts screaming incoherently, which is some of my favorite Stallone.
Yeah.
You talking about pride? What about my pride, Nick? What about my pride? And then I like the wordless reconciliation from far away. Just some good filmmaking.
Yeah.
Possible Great Shot Gordo. What'd you have for Great Shot Gordo?
Oh, the running up the art museum steps, steady cam.
Steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually Great Shot Garrett because he's the steady cam inventor. He's there.
Great Shot Garrett.
Yeah.
Rocky's TV interview in the meat freezer, which also gets the Big Kahuna Burger Award for best use of food and drink. Mate, you could even argue it might have to replace the Big Kahuna Burger.
I'll be honest with you. There's another candidate, though.
What do you got?
The turkey.
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah, you're right.
The turkey. Turkey's a tough one.
Because Paulie keeps like the one gross leg. And then he's like touching people with it with the grease.
Oh my God,
he's wielding the turkey leg as a scepter as he's thrown her Thanksgiving turkey. I don't know what a bastard.
And it's like the third worst thing he did in the movie. I like when they're doing the TV interview and they're about to film it and the guy's like, hey, the meat guy's sticking his head in. Always doing that. Duke's watching. Yeah, I'm in business
Well,
too.
he hears him. He hears the punches, right?
Yeah.
Because Duke's got his back to the TV, and then he's like turns around slowly.
It's like,
as
what's
he
going on here?
Hears the punches.
What do you
against
think this would, if they had social media in 1976, how many views is this getting?
him hitting him
Apollo's
punching
opponent punching meat in a
ribs?
meat locker. I feel like this is like 10
It goes
million,
crazy, yeah.
10 million views, right?
I tell you what, man. Apollo
Charlemagne
better be
sending
ready.
that to you.
Yeah.
Did you see this guy was fighting
Hey, bro,
Apollo?
I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
This dude,
I
is
don't
Apollo
know.
ready for this guy, bro?
Then Ariel's like, I heard that wasn't real meat.
All of a sudden, this goes into the Gonna Fly Now training sequence, which I forgot. Like, we're like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah.
One-handed push-ups, races the huge boat, second chance at the stairs, which we set up earlier with that 5 a.m. brutal training
With
session.
the eggs, yeah.
Honestly, I think this is one of the best sports movie scenes of all time.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
It has to be. If you're just arguing about them, this has to be one of the first ones.
They're great
mentioned.
works of-
Unless you want to go Rocky 2 on me with all the kids.
Seriously, like inside of that building, the art museum is some of the greatest works of art in like the history of the world. There's like medieval suits of armor. There's like tombs from Egypt. There's paintings from Impressionism.
The dress could kill ladies' glove.
And it's just literally like every day there is a line of cars and vans waiting to take pictures of the Rocky statue there. It is still like this iconic thing.
How important is this movie? This is gonna sound so stupid. The city has so much history. How important is this movie to the contemporary identity of Philadelphia?
I think it was big during my childhood. It was
Okay.
huge during
Not
my
so much
childhood.
anymore.
Peaked in the 80s.
I don't
Yeah.
see a lot of dudes being like, man, Rocky's really means a lot to me. But it's like, you have to remember, like Iverson's 25 years ago now. So it's
Yeah.
like, this is a very long time ago.
They got my trunks wrong, that scene when he goes into the Spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter, does it? I'm sure you're going to give us a great show. And then he knows, like, oh, God, I'm going to fucking get smoked. Goes back, talks to Adrian.
Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed. And if I can go that distance, you see, and that bell rings and I'm still standing. I'm gonna know for the first time in my life, you see, that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood.
I love all that stuff. It's like, all right, you got me, Rock. You had me a half hour ago. I didn't need this speech. You got me. I'm splitting the fight up into 3 scenes. The entire fight entrance. Paulie got $3,000. I got the robe. Shrewd. The Uncle Sam entrance from Apollo, which is great. Him talking shit to Sly.
Mm-hmm.
And Sly's like so stupid in the pre-fight, but it's great. Or is he talking to me? Yeah, he's talking to you. And then the Joe Frazier cameo is amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You hear people chanting like Frazier in the background. Yeah.
Took me a long time. And then I love the nicknames. The Master of Disaster.
Yeah.
Is that one of the best nicknames ever?
Love it. King of Sting.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
First 2 rounds of the fight. The first round knockdown is
Yeah.
one of the most exciting sports movie moments ever.
Oh my God.
I love the bar shot. The
Really
guys
quick,
jumping around.
in the first round, as they're like sort of feeling each other out, it's never like those are like he's actually like missing. Like they're not like that's not
Yeah.
bad stunt work or bad.
no, I think,
front.
I think it's just sloppy.
Okay.
Breaks his nose. Duke he doesn't know it's a damn show. He thinks it's a damn fight.
Yeah.
And then the end of round 2 is great.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, Rocky's not going away. Here we go. We do the montage. 14th round. Next scene. I think this is my most rewatchable.
This is because of Cut Me, Mick.
No, I love the down, stay down. And he's just like, and Adrian comes out. And then Apollo with the shoulder slumped is my favorite.
Yeah.
Where he's just like,
Bet
man,
it
you're
is.
fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
This guy's got up again.
You like that?
And then he comes back with a,
And this is just all body shots.
but they
Reminds me-
repeat the same shot. It's 2 punches that they run twice.
Reminds me of the fight that was on last week where
Oh, yeah.
where Zhang just gets nuked out by body shots.
Yeah.
And that's his thing. He's gonna go to the ribs just like the slabs of meat.
Yeah, because don't they say Apollo's bleeding internally,
He's
basically?
bleeding
Yeah.
into- yeah. And he just can't handle it.
Mickey
Bleeding
calls
inside.
it. Mickey
Yeah.
tells that guy, he goes to the body like nothing we've ever seen. Cut Me Mick is great too. And then the ending,
Cut Me, Mick is so gross.
so gross.
Cut Me Mick is disgusting, y'all.
I can't see nothing, gotta open my eye. Cut me, Mick.
I don't want to do it.
Come on, cut me. Cut me.
Okay, try it. Cut it. My God.
Like, cut cut me, Mick. Boom.
I didn't even know that was a thing. It's so great that they bring the cut guy in at like the 8th inning.
He's just got, hold on, I got my razor blade here. Let me get that. And then the ending, it seems like he's going to get him. Ain't going to be no rematch. Don't want one. Where's your hat? Still champion Apollo. I don't know. Best sports movie ending ever. It's in the running.
During the fight, especially on repeat viewing, I think you can tell that the stadium's empty when they're fighting, or very empty.
They weren't counting on Blu-ray in 2025.
Some of the ADR, like sound effect stuff, could have been better. But that bell, everybody rushing in, the overhead
music
shot of everybody rushing in, the music, him just being like, you automatically kind of intuitively know it doesn't matter if he's won or not. It's because he's stuck through the whole fight. He did win.
Yeah, he earned the champ's respect.
It's just like, holy shit, man.
Paulie finally does something nice. He lets the rope open for Adrian.
He doesn't
And
get
then throws a turkey at her.
what he wants, but he leaves the fight with so much more than what he came into the fight with, that even looking at him as battered and bruised as he is, you're like, it was worth it.
What's your most rewatchable scene, CR? Gonna fly now?
I think I'd probably go with the training. Yeah, the finally getting up the art museum steps to Gonna Fly Now.
I love the 14th round.
I think it's the training, but I do want to just give some love to Rocky and Adrian's first date
At the ice skating rink.
the ice skating rink, where he just demonstrates so many things. Number one, like, the script really is perfect because Rocky's talent is determination.
Yeah.
That's what his talent is. His talent is determination. And throughout the whole movie, you just see a determined guy. He's going to get her on the ice rink. He's going to tell her the stupid Southpaw story. And you can just see them kind of closing in on each other to the whole time, to where, you know, he kind of accosts her in his apartment later on.
She's telling him about fish food.
Yeah.
I love the fact that the guy keeps yelling 8 minutes.
Oh, 7 minutes.
But it's like it gives their date urgency. Like if you can't close here,
Right.
you know?
Hey, this episode of The Rewatchables is presented by State Farm. There's a lot to say when buying a new home or car, but only one thing to say when you need help to protect them. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. A State Farm agent can help you choose the coverage you need. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. What's the most 1976 thing about this movie?
I think White Doo-Wop.
That's up there.
Yeah.
I get it.
Maybe not 1970. I mean, did we still have such voices back then? I don't know.
Like doo-wop.
White Doo-Wop. Well, Color Me Bad was like really the last moment.
Yeah, but like
Some of them were black.
I know, but they had a couple white guys.
Yeah,
there.
cool.
do you remember have you
hurrah.
ever seen a group of men singing in harmony on a street corner in real life?
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I had most 1976 thing. Good-natured winos and doo-wop singers versus just fentanyl addicts,
Right.
which we would have now.
Oh my God.
Now we would have people with no pants on
these
just wandering
fentanyl
in a
guys could
circle.
just carry a tune, you know?
Yeah.
If they could just sing a little bit, we could. Fucking guy, bro.
Take it back. Wait, where's my fentanyl?
Bill pulling up with a fur coat, being like, "Let me hear a tune, fellas." All right, and then throws him a quarter.
It was
Like
this
and
era, though.
subscribe. Yeah.
Drunk street characters were always like these benevolent movie characters. Like he picks up that one guy and brings him in the bar, and she's like, "Let me put you over on the seat.
Right.
Have a drink with Eddie." Those days are gone.
A lot of the stuff that we lionize on this podcast, smoky dive bars, 1970 streets and stuff. This is the real shit in this movie.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me second guess whether I would love to be in a smoke-filled bar, the Lucky 7 Tavern, with overhead lighting and 3 absolutely like guys dying of kidney failure. Like,
right.
On
and Paulie upset that the mayor is broken.
Night.
Right.
Like,
Thanksgiving, Christmas, just the shittiest life.
Yeah.
You know how many times in this movie somebody accuses somebody else of stinking?
Yeah.
This stinks.
Yeah.
It stinks in here.
Oh, yeah. He
My
talks
house
about his own
stinks.
apartment.
It's my house stinks. Oh, this desperation.
What's age the best? CR mentioned the Steadicam.
Mhm.
This is the 3rd movie ever they used the Steadicam, but the most famous one. And Steadicam, I would say, it's not an MVP of the movie, but it's first team on.
Garrett
Yeah.
Brown, inventor of the Steadicam, and he basically was like trying to get people interested in the technology, and Rocky winds up becoming more or less the guinea pig for the technology that changes cinema.
Apparently, the run up the stairs was his idea because to show them how the Steadicam worked, he did a test run with his wife to show them what it would look like. and that led to how they did it. Apparently, they offered him either money or points in the movie, and he took the money and has some regrets.
Poor guy.
Got to bet on yourself.
It's a tough. That was not a good. That's not going to be in the Bet on Yourself book.
Garrett Brown.
Mm-hmm.
What's aged the best? The music and the soundtrack. It's still going. You hear that? I mean, how many years have they been playing that in sporting events?
Start of every fourth quarter in America, it feels like.
I have a bunch. What do you have? Anything good?
The actual Turtles.
Yeah.
Still alive as of 2021, which
Cuff
is the
and
last,
Link?
last reference I could find of them, but Stallone kept them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's the thing with turtles. They don't die.
Yeah.
If you get a pet turtle, that's not like, 10 years from now.
Turtles
That's-
do smell too, I got to say.
Turtles are an L.
Yeah.
You don't like them?
No.
I used to like them when I was back in Louisiana. I see turtles everywhere.
Did you have them in the house though?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Agnostic on turtles now. You know what's aged the best? First of all, I personally think that just overall the sports movie obviously has aged the best, but I think that it's because of Rocky.
Yeah.
I think without the success and the cultural penetration of this movie, I think the sports movie period is just like much, much different. Like this is
I wonder if somebody would have figured it out.
They probably would have.
But we don't know.
Right. I'm sure they would have, right? It's just such an important piece of our culture. But man, does this movie just completely, it's like the Marlon Brando of sports movies. It changes the archetype, period.
You know what I was thinking about the other day is how come in sports media we're pretty obsessed with the great teams, the dynasties, the burgeoning dynasties, the Chiefs, the Pats, we're always talking about the Lakers and the NBA or whatever. But in movies, we're never interested in the great teams. We're interested in the underdog teams or the underdog player. Like nobody wants to watch
true greatness isn't interesting.
Yeah, you wouldn't watch Moneyball about Brian Cashman. You'd want to watch Moneyball about a guy trying to put together a team with less money than Brian Cashman. We don't ever make movies that are about this is the story of the three-peat.
I have a thought. It's probably because when we're watching those dynasties, it's aspirational. And when we're watching the movies, it's inspirational. We're definitely more Rocky than we are the Yankees. Everybody in this movie feels like they're Rocky. If you watch this movie and you felt like Apollo Creed, then you on some different shit, right? So we're Rocky probably.
That's why we have sports documentaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, though? It's kind of interesting.
I get it, yeah, for sure.
Well, it's interesting because the one of the best sports books ever was The Game by Ken Dryden, which was about the Montreal Canadiens at the tail end of their dynasty trying to hold it together. It's fascinating. It's basically what The Last Dance is about too. It's like, can we stay together one last time? So we've seen it work in documentaries and books, but I've never seen it in a movie.
But to his point though, and I've always wondered this, not only do we not get into the underdogs in real life, but we hate them. If we are relentlessly critical.
Oh yeah, like when if a random wild card baseball team wins, it's kind of like this is annoying.
Yeah, like
it negates the regular season.
Kind of don't like them. Like a team's bad. It's like, they suck. I hate them. They're disgusting and all that. I'm like, good. They're just not having a good season, so it's just different.
We're hypocrites. More would say it's the best.
Race and boxing.
I didn't know when this was going to come up.
But
you want me to take this one?
It's the same space. Boxing is legitimately the only place where it's still completely acceptable to be totally tribal.
Sure.
I mean, some people would say that there are other places where it happens, but in boxing, you go to a place like the black guy versus Mexican guy, all the brothers rooting for the black guy, all my Latino brothers and sisters rooting for the Mexican guy.
Or the English guys fighting, all the English people.
And it's just totally, it's totally okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. Why are you beating down? It's like,
I'm not beating down. No, it's this is just a weird era for sports movies because it's the 1.0 era, but most of them are it's like Hoosiers, it's Rocky, it's a lot of our white hero trying to beat whoever the black guy was in front of him or the black team.
Yeah.
And then it eventually shifts. But I just think that in this case, it's clearly an Ali thing. And it feels like less of a black-white thing. But after the fact, it feels black-white. I really think this is an Ali thing.
It
what he had to
definitely
say.
is.
Stallone is like, what if I fought Ali? And that's
Right.
the premise of the movie.
Oh no, Stallone doesn't. I don't think the movie is conceived from the lens of race almost
It's
at all.
not. But I think the perception after the fact was that it was. This is why it became so popular. This is why they had to have a sequel so he would win.
Well, I think
I'm not saying it's right. I
there
think
was
that was
no
a
way to
narrative.
read it other than that
Yeah.
at that time. But then if you kind of realize how obsessive Sylvester Stallone is about boxing, like legitimately, Roy Jones Jr. was supposed to be in Rocky Balboa. He went out and laid an egg in a ring. Stallone removed him from the movie and put Antonio Tarver in the movie.
It was really good.
Right. And so, when you obviously the movie has racial undertones, overtones, the entire thing, but all of the race in the film comes from the black heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Like he is the one, and maybe that's intentionally done.
Well, it's also explicitly discussed how manipulating people's racial biases will lead to a bigger payday, lead to a bigger audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get this guy because of this city, because of this time, and like, here's the story we're going to tell about him.
I think this movie is clean on the race front from Stallone's hands. Rocky 3 becomes a different story.
There's some
tough moments in
Stallone might
Rocky
not
3.
be that clean. The movie itself is, but also like even small things, like Rocky's locker gets given to Dipper, younger, black.
Yo, Rock, I dig your locker.
I dig
He's
your
like, you
locker.
put me on Skid Row. Yeah.
Is that the most boxing gym moment ever? The guy taunting Rock from the ring that he digs his locker just out of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good one.
it is a pretty good one.
Do you ever have moments in the gym where everybody stops training at once because something has happened in the gym?
Yeah.
That is like when Mick and Rock are yelling at each other and everybody
Yeah.
just stops.
Well, when you're in the gym with that much testosterone, that normally happens because two people have taken something that happened
They got-
inside of the ring,
Yeah,
like outside of the ring.
right.
You know what I mean? And so, like, because the boxing gym is a pretty chill place. It's like very chill. But once again, the tribalism still exists in there. I have said stuff in the boxing gym that I wouldn't say anywhere else. Like Phil goes, well, I remember one time Phil goes, while walking the gym, Phil goes, "Hey, Van, got somebody for you to work with." And I go, "I'm not sparring any more Mexicans." I just remember, and I said, and just like, and everybody's laughing. I'm like, I'm in here for, fitness. I'm not trying to fight somebody that's fighting for the honor of their family. So, it's
Just letting you finish.
Bill's making a playlist of his favorite doo-wop. He's like, I'm talking about this.
Just looking at my outline.
very determined fighters is all I'm saying.
Well, that was like that card we were watching the other day when who was the guy? Sergio Mora.
Yeah.
He's from Ghana. Those guys are warriors. He just started, we were texting about
we were
it.
talking about
Yeah.
it, see?
And then,
But it's boxing, so
and
it's
every time he
okay.
said it, there was just dead silence from his partners,
Right.
and then he would just double back on it. This is what I was telling you about Ghana. More would say the best. The 5 a.m., this is the first day I'm going to start my training,
Yeah.
and it just being the most miserable thing ever, I think is perfect in this. It's like, I'm going to start, here's my alarm, I'm going to have some eggs, do a little run, maybe run the steps, and it's just like by the end of it, you're holding your
dying.
side,
Yeah.
you're
Right.
coughing up 5 cigarettes, and it's just super depressing. I loved how they did it and then brought it back. I think it's really smart. Can we talk about Angry Mickey, who has quotes like, "Yeah, I said that before, you dumb dago." Then he goes, "Yeah, I know, woman weak and leg."
Guys from Ghana, warriors.
He does that. Rock's like, "I know, woman weak in legs." And he goes, "Well, let her train you." You're going to eat lightning and you're going to crap thunder. I love his just Burgess. So I knew Burgess Meredith as the Penguin in the Batman series because I used to love that
Same
series.
thing. Yeah,
See?
me too.
Once upon a time, Van.
See, yeah, you used to be one of
I
us.
love the Batman series. And
Fantastic.
Burgess Meredith. And then we're like, the Penguin's going to be mixed trainer?
Mm.
Anyway.
Twilight Zone.
Oh, he's the one with the glasses?
Yeah.
More would say the best. The meat freezer is just an amazing. Whoever thought of that, give them a gold star. 1970s Philly is fun.
Yeah. I mean, you could get into some trouble out there. It seemed really, it's like when Philly was really in a lot of like economic despair. So
Well, I don't think New York and Boston were doing any
No,
better.
it's
I think it was pretty fucked up everywhere.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the 70s were rough.
Yeah.
So it's mostly Kensington, kind of like Port Richmond shot there. Yeah.
You put my stuff on Skid Row. It's like that little,
Yeah.
they call when you lose your locker, you go to Skid Row in the boxer gym. I thought that was good. Buckus, Stallone's real dog that Stallone sold for $50 because he was so broke when he was writing this movie. He sold in real life, then got it back after he sold the script.
That's nice.
And then brings Buckus in there.
He gets a lot of breaks here, Stallone, getting his script back, getting his dog back.
Giving Buckus the Brandy Booth Award, best performance by a pet. Multiple great scenes by Buckus. What's aged the best? The Rocky marathons that eventually got on TV once we got to 3 or 4. And they would just run them all in a row.
Yeah.
Although I never understood why they would run all of Rocky 1, start Rocky 2 at the end of Rocky 1 again. Just, you know what I mean?
Do
Just
the Coppola thing.
go right into the start of Rocky 2 where it's like,
They do it with The Godfather. They'll just put the
They'll
first
blow it
2
out.
together. Yeah.
Another what's age the best. Any scenario where a boxer, UFC fighter, tennis player, or golfer is an out of nowhere story and you just think of Rocky immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially like with the combat sports, you think of that. Last thing, Talia Shire as Adrian, 3 Best Picture movies in 5 years. Godfather 1, Godfather 2, and Rocky.
Yeah.
What a run.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking Scottie Pippen kind of 90s Bulls run by her.
She's great in this.
She's really good in this.
Yeah.
I want to like nitpick it, but I can't. I think she's good. And it's different than Connie Corleone. I feel like she's a different character, right?
Connie probably has, well, I mean,
Buffalo you!
Buffalo you! Come on! I kill you. You kill her like your father. What an intense scene. Come on, come on.
I was watching Godfather the other day. The amount of times somebody's like, "You think I'm going to make my godson of an orphan?" And it's just like, "I am."
Yeah, and they just kill.
Yeah.
Like they just a straight lie.
Yeah.
Like a whole family of liars.
I like at the end when she's under Godfather 1 when she's mad at Michael.
Spitting on him.
Yeah.
She's like, I know you did him. And then Michael's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Like,
Carlos in Vegas. He didn't call? What's going on?
You can ask me about my business this one time.
One time.
Did you do it? No.
No.
Lie.
Yeah. Door
Right.
closed right on her.
Right.
The only other What's Age the Best I had, other than Gazzo's Driver and the Steadicam, was Gazzo's Driver is just a comedic genius. He's just on the screen and you're like, oh my God, this guy. John Avildsen, the director, said the original ending, Apollo was carried out by the crowd and so was Rocky, and he pulled Adrian up on his shoulders and they had the happiest night of their life, and that was going to be it, and they couldn't pull it off. So then they did this second ending when he walks down the aisle and sees Adrian because he lost, and they hold hands and they walk into the back, and it didn't work. And they decided to reshoot it with the Bill Conti music and came up with the third version of the ending. And Avildsen says now that saved the movie.
Yeah.
Like the ending would have sucked. It would have been a downer.
It's so cool that you don't really leave the ring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we
It's
wanted
great.
to see like
Really good
those
reshoot.
guys-
She legitimately comes into his world.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, about her performance, I think she actually grounds the movie with her performance.
Yeah, she's good.
I think at the beginning of the movie, she's kind of the only person. Because even, I mean, Rock is a dude, but he's very over the top kind of as well. You know, like, but I think like her subtlety and vulnerability kind of.
Yeah, she's like, and she's also the
It's really
person
good.
who's just like, look around me, like this sucks so much. I have to make myself small so that this doesn't
right.
kill me. Like, you know, she's just like, I don't want to like see it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to like talk about it.
One of my hot takes about this movie is I don't think Paulie was a very good brother. It was one of my takeaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed that.
When
Some
are
of
we
the
gonna
stuff he
when
did
are we gonna
wasn't-
talk about it?
Wasn't wait, it's coming.
Yeah.
Great Shot Gordo Award. We said the 5 a.m. training ending the first time with
The
the
steady
wide
cam.
shot of Philly.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award, Best Needle Drop. Could you change this to Gonna Fly now?
I had Reflections, which is the one that samples Cool in the Gang, which was later used by Fresh Prince in
Oh.
Summer Times. It's just
Oh,
like
yeah,
the,
yeah,
I like that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a record that plays at the end of the movie that was sampled by somebody else in a very popular song that I loved in the 90s.
What song?
The song's called Victory.
By Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the beginning, somebody raps on the song. But yeah.
What,
Somebody who might be in a lot of trouble these days.
When I hear the beginning of it, I just think immediately of that record. And I started doing it almost reflectively. I'm like, yo, the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's, and then I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's tough. The Chess Rockwell and Brock Landers Award for Best Character Name.
Easy.
Rocky and Apollo.
It's got to be Apollo Creed.
Apollo
One of
Creed
the great
is
names
the
ever.
single best fictional name.
So good.
It's up there with, it's literally to me up there with Darth Vader.
It's also cool because he talks about names throughout the movie.
Right.
He's like, oh, no, that's
I
not
gotta
the
say,
name.
don't sleep on Spider Rico. I really did enjoy him as well. All right, Van, you're up with the flex category. Did you have a flex category you picked?
Yeah. The Pauly Award for asshole of the film
Goes to Pauly?
goes to Pauly.
Dude, does this need to be a new award?
This is
Yeah.
also the weak link of the movie. Yeah.
The whole nine.
I
Asshole of the
had
film.
him coming up. I had him coming up in What Stage is the
What Stage is
Worst.
the
There
Worst.
are very few characters that are pure asshole, just all asshole. And it gets worse because we now know that at the end, after Rocky gets his fucking face beat in for 15 years, building a fortune, what is the reason that Rocky loses all of his money?
Rocky 5 never happened.
I
though.
don't care. He loses all of his money and has to open up
Because
a small Italian restaurant
Pauly.
because Paulie gives power of attorney to some crazy person, and then Rocky gets all of his money taken.
Yeah.
Paulie's terrible. He is.
I thought he had some decent moments in Rocky 4. Just not to defend Pauly, but it's just him and Duke in Russia. There's no other
You like
trainers.
him in a robot? That was like
No, just there was a couple. Rocky 4 is probably the best version of Pauly.
Pauly in
But
this
Rocky
movie-
1 Pauly is one of the worst human beings in a movie.
he's a pimp. He literally pimps his sister
He
out.
says, I go out and get your meat every morning. You forgot that. Then even give you my sister too. You're such a loser. I didn't get married because of you. You can't live by yourself. I put you two together and you don't forget it. You owe me. Rocky should have punched this guy to death.
Yeah, he
Rocky should have at least thrown him out the fucking window, but should have hit him. And you know what would have happened? Nothing. Not a
Right.
single person in that neighborhood would have been like, not Pauly.
Yeah.
It would have just been like, he had it coming.
He said, "You're busted" to his sister.
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing you could possibly say to your sister.
I mean, Rocky is kind of complicit because Paulie makes her go out with him. Paulie comes in, he sacrifices Thanksgiving turkey. That's an all-time asshole move. She goes, she goes, it's Thanksgiving. I can't go on a date because I'm making the turkey.
And it's like a really normal response. It's not like she's like, I have social anxiety. I can't go on a date.
Yeah.
She's like, I've been making your fucking dinner
I've
all
been making
day.
a Thanksgiving turkey. This dude takes the turkey, throws it out of the window, and then eats a piece of it. So
Yeah.
he gets some turkey for himself, and she's got to go out with Rock on Thanksgiving.
She's got to go to the stink house after the ice rink with no Thanksgiving dinner.
He's an abomination. It's really jumps out every time you watch it because in like the 70s, then it's like, Pauly, that irascible.
Can you
deep
imagine
down,
living
it's
in
like there's
between-
nothing to like about him.
Living in between Rocky and Pauly while those two assholes are like yelling out the window, like, oh, Pauly, I got your sister.
Yeah.
My sister's a pig. It's just like, I would just be like, come on, guys.
Pauly Panino. Yeah, we need a Pauly Panino. Why is this character so awful? Category, something like that.
What's with you?
I had for the Butch's Girlfriend Award for weak link of the film, either Pauly or the Rocky Adrian courting scenes are so slow now in 2025. They're just,
Yeah.
it's 25 minutes of content that now you probably do 9.
Yeah.
It's just,
I like
it's
the
a
date.
skating rink. I know you like the skating rink. At the same time, if there's a transcript of it, it would be the worst
I think the
transcript
problem
ever.
with the skating rink is it could have just ended with a kiss at the skating rink, and that would be the end of the first date. And instead, he's like, "Let's go back to my house, and I'll show you my
You won't
turtles."
come in?
That's
Yeah.
Come on in.
It's the skating rink. Then he has to convince her to come inside. Then he has to convince her to stay inside.
He's got to do
Then he's got to show the
t-shirt.
guns.
Yeah.
Then he's got to do the whole. It's like, we get it.
And then he starts denying his bodily fluids. That's the tough part, you know. He gets her hooked on it, and
Yep.
then he's just like, "Nope."
Because at the end, she becomes like a little minx.
Yeah.
She's ready. She jumps on it.
Well, she's discovered
Wide
parts of
open,
herself
yeah.
that
She's
she
like, "You
didn't know
want me to rub you
existed.
down?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
She's become a sexual human being.
right.
My flex choice, the Steven Seagal Hard to Kill Award for did this movie need a better intimacy coordinator? He kind of mauls her a little bit in the first
There's no
kissing.
kinda.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to be kind to Rocky. It's a
Yeah.
little bit of a mauling.
He also, I mean, she doesn't have a lot of options in that scene. Like he's kind
Well,
of like,
especially she has nowhere to
"I
go
got my
'cause she's
phone- I got
trapped
my
against the
phone
wall."
taken out.
Right.
Yeah,
She's like, "Can I use the phone?" He's like, "Oh."
it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, he subtly asked for consent. It's like, I'm going to kiss you now. But at that point, she was in a spot, and I don't feel like
Yeah.
she felt like she could do anything else.
I also just, another one I would add is the Sean Penn Award for excellence in smoking. I thought Stallone smoking was excellent.
But we need to maybe add another cigarette award here, which is the Syllvester Stallone Award for smoking so much in a movie that you quit smoking.
In real life?
In real life, he quit after Rocky because he was like, it was too gross. I'd smoked so much on Rocky, I had to quit.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. That wasn't in my research, CR.
Stallone is for quitters. Yeah.
Wow. What's age the worst? Everything about Pauly. Chuck Wepner.
Her body's gonna dry up.
Yeah, what mean thing didn't Pauly say to his sister?
No one says, Paul, you piece of shit, shut up.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody, he
nobody punches him at a bar or anything.
He disses the way she looks. He disses her age. He disses everything.
I thought about quitting drinking last night watching Pauly. I was just like, this is not.
Chuck Wepner, that whole story, age the worst. You mentioned the fight crowd scene, CR. This is the biggest kind of nitpick all these years later, where I just wish somebody had done a George Lucas and just paid the $50,000 to CGI some fans all over the place.
Somebody for the re-release and stuff?
Yeah, just if you're going to be like, hey, we got Rocky on Blu-ray, just spend the $50,000.
Maybe James Cameron could stop making Avatar movies and instead single-handedly populate the spectrum.
Like how we want to be the sports
people.
movie consultants. Like James Cameron should be like, let me just help out a couple of these classics. I'll just put some fans in.
Fincher is like moving curtains in Panic Room. Like we can get Fincher on the crowd here.
You guys want James Cameron to fix Rocky? He invented a submarine and went to the deepest part of the ocean.
Right. Can he add some fans?
Right. Yeah, that's what he's.
And then Garrett Brown, the Steadicam guy, not taking points in the picture is age worse. What else do you have? Anything?
I think Rocky's advice to that 12-year-old girl, you use bad words and maybe you end up becoming a whore. Marie, the little whore who hung out at the Atomic Hoagie shop.
It is a leap. You hang out with those guys, use a couple of bad words.
I always want to have a kid to say that. You just be like, oh, you use bad words.
You end up a whore.
Become a little whore.
Well, and then the weird part about this is another what's age the worst is watching that girl in this movie. She then becomes the Rocky Balboa love interest. Remember? The girl he starts dating, and that's the girl he starts dating in Rocky Balboa.
Are you
is
serious?
The little girl.
Are you kidding me?
That's like how they reconnect. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Rocky Balboa, or I can't remember it.
Wait. Rocky Balboa was the one.
That's the one with Antonio Tarver.
With Antonio Tarver.
It's not a very good
And
movie.
Adrian's dead by this point?
Adrian's dead,
away,
and he starts hanging out with
Marie, the
grown-up
little
Marie.
whore from the Atomic Hoagie shop.
Yeah. Yes. Take it back. Do. Any other what's age worse?
Yeah, just Pauly as the brother.
Okay.
You just blew my fucking mind with that.
Sorry.
White doo-wop groups. Yeah, it was a tough one.
Ruffalo Hannah Rubenek Partridge overacting award. It's good acting, but it's got a good Adrian freaking out on Pauly.
Yeah.
I cook for you.
Yeah.
Just like she goes up a level.
So that's the thing with her, is she is a fantastic actress, obviously, but when she turns it up to that point, like when she turns it up in the Carlo,
The Bafangul.
the Bafangul, you.
Why don't you go see a little whore?
In two,
Marie, the little whore at the Atomic Hoagie shop.
in two, she's a different character. So like it's like pretty solid the whole way through. She never has to like turn it up, but when she turns it up, sometimes it gets away from her.
All right. The CR thinks Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford. Hottest take award. Did you have one, CR?
By far, the most interesting non-big three character in this movie, not Rocky, Adrian, or Apollo, is by far Gazzo. And I don't know how much of whether it makes it a better or worse sports movie, but it's a much more interesting movie if Gazzo tries to like assert his control over Rocky for the
Tries to
second
get him to fix the fight.
I just think Joe Spinell is awesome in this. Obviously, also in The Godfather, or Godfather 2, and it would just be so cool if he was like, everybody's putting money on you going down in the third.
Because he gives him the $500 and you think he wants
That's
something.
what you think he's starting to like maybe try to get in on him a little bit. And I was like, this would have been so cool if we had 2 more Gazzo scenes and 2 less Pauly scenes.
Well, what's interesting about this, a great take here. The original script, which was much darker, it had Rocky throwing the fight.
Yeah.
And Mickey was a racist. Those were the 2 things that they softened.
In this movie, he's just racist against Italians.
Right.
Yeah. He's just irascible. Do you have a hottest take, Van?
I do not.
I have one.
Actually, I've already done this hottest take. I mean, this is the beginning of the greatest love story of our time.
Which was?
Rocky and Apollo.
Oh, yeah, you did that.
Yeah, Rocky goes on to...
You almost caused a riot in
Oh, yeah.
Philadelphia when you did that. I'm going old school with a super hot take. Because I feel like we have rational hot takes now. I'm going
We've
hot.
gotten away from our principles.
Yeah. If this movie didn't exist, Philadelphia would basically be Delaware with more attitude, a nicer art museum, and a couple pro sports
That's
teams.
fucked up, Bill.
Bro.
Yeah.
First of all,
That's what I
Delaware
meant.
is a state.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Delaware is an entire state.
You mean
That's fine. They're probably about the same size.
No, that's not true.
Shout out to
But you
Dover.
think that if Rocky didn't exist,
I think Rocky really made Philadelphia. That's my hot take.
well, what made Boston?
I don't know. When we fucking knocked out the British and created America.
You fucking
racist?
You think you're better than King George?
No, it was an attempt to do hottest take, but it is funny how much this movie means to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That it almost became like
I
another
think now
sports
actually-
team.
Well, Philadelphia has actual, real, legendary
1980,
boxers.
they win the fucking NBA championship.
I get
so
it.
It's not like we were like
I
in
get
the
it.
desert.
You had the Flyers titles in the 70s. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Philly has
But you're just
actual,
kind of
Not the
between
NBA championship.
Washington
You know,
and New
it was the
York.
World Series in the 83,
like
they won the
real,
NBA championship.
like legitimate boxing legends. Like no bullshit. Like fucking real,
Yes.
but the biggest boxing
Don't, you're looking at me, look
icon
at him.
from Philly.
Look at Jem from the fucking town over there. You'd be Baltimore if it
Listen,
wasn't for
I'm
this.
just trying to bring the hottest
Yeah, I
take
like
back
it.
to where it
I
used
like
to
it.
I'm
be.
into it, yeah.
Casting what ifs. United Artists wanted a well-established star. Redford, who I think gets just mentioned for every movie ever.
That's
Ryan
ridiculous.
O'Neal and Burt Reynolds actually makes sense, and James Caan makes sense. And like if I'm thinking about Hollywood back then,
Ryan O'Neal is way too good looking.
too waspy.
Right.
Yeah, like
But I'm just saying,
Jimmy
I'm not
Caan
saying,
makes a lot of sense.
I'm not saying makes sense in the movie. I'm saying makes sense. I could see the studios being like, here's the list of actors we want in this Rocky movie.
So I was going to save this for recasting couch. You could even call this a lukewarm take. What is this movie if it's James Caan as Rocky and Harvey Keitel as Paulie?
Oh,
Or a John Cazale as Paulie? Like if you have...
I
like,
think James Caan has too much baggage at this point to be Rocky.
what you mean?
Because
Too
we know
well-known.
him from Godfather and a bunch of big movies.
Hmm.
I think Rocky being an unknown really helps.
I think,
I think it worked out great. Like Burt Reynolds, same thing. He's been in too many things.
yeah, those guys are just too movie star-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I needed somebody that you're almost rooting for him in real life too, as is in the movie. This was interesting. Ken Norton was targeted for Apollo Creed, pulled out, and they gave it to Carl Weathers. Stallone wanted Harvey Keitel as Paulie. Probably a better movie. Carrie Snodgrass, I don't even know who that is, was chosen to play Adrian, and they had a money dispute, and they auditioned a bunch of people, including Susan Sarandon and Cher. And Sarandon they really liked, but they thought she was just too pretty to be Adrian.
Oh, Carrie Snodgrass was in Pale Rider. I remember her.
This is my favorite though. They wanted Lee Strasberg for Mickey, and he wanted too much money.
Is this before 2? Godfather 2?
Right after.
Oh, so yeah, because he didn't even want to, he wasn't even trying to act in movies, right?
Yeah.
No one knows who gave the order. When I heard it, I wasn't angry.
Wasn't it Henry?
I said, this is the business. We chose it.
There's not even a statue of the man.
The
A street named after him.
Rosado brothers.
And then, yeah, that's it for
Briefcase
Cast What Ifs.
is in the room.
No,
When I
I'm
wake
a
up,
partner.
I know I'm a partner.
I think I know the answer to this, but we're going to do the category anyway just because Van's here. The Van Lathan Award for Did This Movie Need More Black People?
0.
Okay. Wow. Best That Guy's coming up. I think we have to take one more break. Best That Guy Award. Joe Spinell I think he's not eligible.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's Joe Spinell.
I think it's Thayer
He's a
David.
graduated that guy.
I think it's Thayer David.
Thayer David is Jurgens, the manager, or
He's in
the
Iger
promoter.
Sanction. He's in a bunch of cool stuff. Around
I
this
didn't know
time.
what his name was.
As soon as I saw Joe Spinell, I was like, he's clearly the one, but I guess, okay.
No, he's Joe Spinell. Stan Shaw was another one, but I think he's Stan Shaw, who played Dipper.
Mm.
And then Frank Stallone is Frank Stallone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Frank
doo-wop
Stallone,
guy. Now, do you think Frank was like me and my boys have a doo-wop group, and we'd love to get just 10 seconds.
I think
screen
Sly's
time.
like, can we get Frank in the movie?
Yeah.
And see if we can get him like $20.
Yeah.
Deion Waiters is a hopping category. We got Marie the teenage delinquent, Tony Burton as
Marie
Duke,
the Little Whore.
Joe Spinell as Gazzo, Stu Nahan and Bill Baldwin. But my pick is Buddy the driver.
You think Burgess is in too much of it?
Yeah, he's in too much. He's like the number 3 star in the movie. I think it's Gazzo's driver.
Yeah, he
Hey, Rock, did you get the number of the license plate that hit your face?
he's the definition of the award.
That's right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
By the way, me and my dad used the license plate joke over and over again. Like that was like, that's 20 years got out of that one. Recasting couch. I'm not touching it. You want to touch it?
No, I was just saying, like, I think that there is a different version of Paulie that's like a little bit more
Likeable?
palatable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that John Cazale may feel like he's played the failed brother a few too many times,
Yeah.
but
He's got a shit ton of charisma. Yeah, he would have definitely been like a more likable version
yeah,
of
like
it.
what if he was like a skinny kind of like nobody ever paid attention
Down
to
on
him
his luck
guy,
type of
not
guy,
like
yeah.
a raging alcoholic who tried to put logos on the back of people's robes.
That's smart.
Half-assed in our research. We did some of these already. I like that Duke didn't have a name in the movie.
Mhm.
They didn't name him until Rocky 2. The first 2 Steadicam films were Bound for Glory and Marathon Man, so it was all around the same time. They shot the ice skating date that way because they couldn't afford extras. Burgess had a fake cauliflower ear and a tube stuck up his nostril to make his nose look fucked up. And then Burt Young did some weird stuff to get in a character. Like he covered himself with vermouth on his neck. He wore too many clothes, so he was hot. He wanted to be like uncomfortable and angry during
Yeah,
the
he
filming.
takes a
And it
slug
worked.
of whatever he's drinking in the meat locker once, and
Yeah.
like his lower lip is all wet.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
This is like a
Paulie.
disgusting roast beef character.
Yeah.
When they did the climactic fight, they didn't choreograph it and then realized they had to basically stop and go back.
Oh, so they just went in there all vibes.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you do this and I'll do this. And then they're like,
Because they
wait, this
kind of
is a
cast
disaster.
Weathers off of like a sparring session anyway.
Yeah.
So I think they were probably like, we can just fight.
Something else, Stallone actually cares a lot about boxing. And obviously, everyone knows that. But as the movies get on, you can see that he becomes like a much more athletic, much better boxer.
Yeah, I think that you could make the argument that one of the things that's aged the worst is like they leave this conception of Rocky in this movie, and then he gets, I think, even more. He gets smarter and more physically talented as he gets older, which
He's already 30
probably
now.
is not the case for
Right.
boxers. Yeah,
This was a really good one. The poster, when he goes in, he sees the posters like, those aren't my trunks.
Mm-hmm.
That was an actual mistake they made, and they felt like they had to address it, so they added that scene so that they would be covered for people to be like, why are the
it's just
posters
another really
like
good
this?
touch from the script. It's just like him being in the spectrum before the fight is one of my favorite little moments of the movie where he's just like, shit, this is too big for me.
Well, and then the spectrum doesn't become the spectrum for most of the fight because there was some sort of union issue in Philly.
Imagine
There was
that.
a you think you're better than me union moment, and they had to film a lot of it in LA. It doesn't look like the spectrum because you
It
feel
does
it in
not.
Rocky 2. You're like, oh, this is the spectrum.
Now,
Spectrum is a cool place.
is it because of
Even I like the
Is
spectrum.
it because of the Rocky movies that I have such a not 70s, I wasn't around, but an 80s and early life connection to the spectrum when I didn't care about Philly sports?
I mean, I think
that's
probably
Dave
also,
Zinkoff and Dr. J.
and it was Barkley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were still,
Julius Irving.
yeah. And it had a great
The spectrum was
logo.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also like with the spectrum, and I don't know because it was a hockky basketball arena.
Don't
like
try
all
to
these
crawl
other
back
ones.
into Philly's favor. with
Listen,
your-
I'm loyal to the hottest take. We're supposed to throw hot takes around. There's something about the spectrum, the layout of it, where the fans seemed a little closer.
yeah, the
I don't know how
lighting
they
was
did
good,
it.
and the fan, and it just felt like you were very like on top of
They were the
things.
first, I felt like, 70s arena to move people closer. Because if you look at some of the stuff, like I noticed this when we were doing the Celtics doc, some of even the early 70s, the courtside seats, they're like 30 feet off the court.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the spectrum
But
was
if
like,
you
let's
watch
put
like
everybody
the
close.
Kentucky Duke highlights from the Leitner shot game, like people are like so close. Like
Yeah.
they're so up on the game.
Yeah, it's cool. Last thing, Gonna Fly Now. How high do you think it got on the Billboard Hot 100 list?
I'm gonna go top 10.
Yeah, 7.
How about 1?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was gonna
Got to
say
number 1.
I don't know if you were gonna do my flex category, but it was gonna be
Yours is coming.
okay.
Isn't it coming? I think I deleted it.
Damn.
No, we'll do it now.
Okay. My okay, motherfucker moment when the movie. Wait, let me redo that. My okay, motherfucker moment when the movie jumps up a notch is when Gonna Fly Now drops like 90 minutes in. Because you're really like, all right, man, this is kind of a sleepy boxing movie, man. What are we going to do? And then it's like, you just, it gets the adrenaline going.
He's racing the boat, and Sierra's like, you know who they're looking at? They're looking at us.
LAPD!
Ha ha! Apex Mountain. Stallone. I think we've litigated this 10 other times. I think his Apex Mountain was that Rocky 3 Rambo.
Yeah.
82.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this Apex Mountain for a woman taking her glasses off and getting that much hotter?
Oh man.
Wow.
There's-
Van's going through all his porn searches now.
Oh no, it's easy. I can go. One time, Lisa. And anyway, but wow, is it? It would have to be.
I'm trying to think of like
It's a big step up.
other.
Well, also the glasses are really ugly.
there's like other. She's all that, and there's other,
yes.
but this one would have to be bigger than those. But there's another one.
The
It's not
varsity,
like I don't actually
the varsity
personally when
blues
she takes
teacher.
her glasses off, I'm not like, whoa, Adrian's hot. But it is a classic kind of like she takes them off and it's like now all of a sudden.
What a good question. I'm trying to think. There's one that I'm missing, and people are gonna. There's one I'm missing where the guy takes it off and then this woman screams, but I can't remember that. This is probably the most famous though. Probably starts the whole deal.
Well, also the glasses are so ugly.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like out of like
They're
1925.
like pharmacy glasses or whatever.
Talia Shire, I'm going to say yes for
I'm
her
going,
too.
yes, I have yes for her for sure.
Yeah. And she got a couple projects out of this, but none of them made it.
Interesting career.
Yeah.
Like all big, doesn't have much of a presence other than, but like every single movie she's in is like kind of like a hitter.
I want to take care of you now, Michael.
Yeah.
Jason Schwartzman tells this really funny story about like for most of the beginning of his life, people calling his mom Adrian. And
Oh, I
that's his-
forgot. That's his mom.
yeah, and
yeah.
like he's just like, why are they calling you Adrian? And she would just be like, yeah, they're confused, they don't understand. And then like he starts to realize like 100 people can't be wrong when they're
Yeah.
like, hey Adrian, yo
Yo,
Adrian,
yo,
And finally he
Adrian.
gets it. Yeah,
Apex Mountain for shy girlfriends, CR?
it might be.
Yeah, I
It
think
might
is.
be. I was also going to ask if this Apex Mountain for withholding sex while training and or competing in sports, is it this or Bull Durham?
Bull Durham. Because I think he's still having sex.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
Well, you think
He
Rock is
woke
still
up
having sex?
I think he woke up a beast with Adrian. I think there's a lot of time thinking in the fish store. Yeah, Van knows.
I'm being for real. Like, look,
I think there was there's a before
she climbs
after.
on him one time and she's doing a little.
Yeah.
She's pecking at him. He can't do it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's like, I'm trying to save all my juices. You know?
Yeah,
Women
she
weaken the legs though is a classic line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic line.
Well, what's the phenomenon behind that? Because you have more testosterone if you haven't shot a load in a while. Is that what we're supposed to
I don't
think?
think sports science was really as.
Did they ever
what
cover
it-
this with John
Yeah.
Brankus?
Dog, I swear.
Maybe they
HBO
should they try
boxing.
this with Embiid? Just like no, not November. See if your knee swelling goes down.
HBO boxing.
Who is now out for the season, by the way.
Fuck off.
No. Breaking news on a Friday.
I'm sorry, Joel. I was just kidding.
Wow.
Oh God.
I was going to say maybe they'd try that with Anthony Edwards.
Zion.
John Avildsen, even though he won the Oscar for this, could make a case it's Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Because then
Karate
he's
Kid
got
made more than
Rocky
this,
and
probably?
Karate Kid. Karate Kid
Yeah.
definitely made more.
Avildsen, you think
But it's probably
whatever
this.
happened with? So did Avildsen fall out with Stallone? How come he couldn't? They wouldn't.
I don't think he was a giant boxing fan. Well, Stallone wanted to direct the second one himself. He wanted to do the written and directed by Syllvester Stallone movie. Philadelphia Apex Mountain, CR? I'll let you decide.
I think the founding of our nation, probably 1776, is a pretty big one.
Solid.
For some.
And then
Not everybody was in the
The 83
beating the
Sixers title?
Pats, beating the Pats in 18. This is up there though. This is certainly
Ending the Mahomes dynasty?
yeah. I think that this, if you were carving a Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia, they'd put Rocky with his hands in the air on it.
One of the most notable images of Philadelphia.
Burt Young.
What did Burt Young ever?
It's probably Rocky 3 when this character becomes more tolerable, at least somewhat. Best Burt Young though is Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh yeah, where he plays the driver /
It's
muscle.
amazing,
Muscle.
amazing performance, man.
We haven't done Back to School, right?
No, it's on the list. Spider Rico, definitely. Ice skating dates. Was there a better ice skating date?
There is an ice skating date in Happy Gilmore. That's amazing.
Oh, that's a good one. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting Edge, is that the figure skating dating?
Toe pick. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky movies, no.
Boxing movies?
Boxing movies was the last one I had.
So how are you defining this? Because a couple years later, Raging Bull comes out. Like, I think
Maybe it's rewatchable boxing movies.
fine. I think
I don't know.
Aesthetically, I think Raging Bull is a better film.
Raging Bull is better than this movie, but this movie is like much more, I think, culturally significant than Raging Bull.
If you're going to a desert island, do you take Raging Bull or Rocky?
You take Rocky.
Honestly, I would take Raging Bull.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Raging Bull is a lot more interesting to watch than Rocky is.
Wow.
Raging Bull is so funny to me, man. It's a hilarious movie. It's just why'd you fuck him? Why'd you do? She just said she didn't do it. Why are you asking her why? She just said she didn't do it.
And a lot of ways, Raging Bull follows a little bit of Rocky. I mean, you get Pesci kind of playing the Burt Young,
Mm-hmm.
Moriarty's the Adrian.
Cruise or Hanks?
Cruise. I went with Cruise.
I think it's Cruise.
I guess it's Cruise.
Yeah. I can't buy Hanks as a heavyweight boxing challenger.
You can buy Tom Cruise as a heavyweight boxing
I could,
challenger.
because I think he would do like 6 months of prep for it. He would gain all the weight and then would lose the weight during the 5 weeks of filming.
I am going to say Hanks, but you guys obviously win in this democracy.
Cruise?
I go with Cruise.
Okay. Scorsese or Spielberg?
Is this the perfect movie if they co-direct it?
Huh.
The inspirational side of Spielberg, the gritty side of Scorsese?
Yeah. Scorsese handles all the Rocky, Paulie type of, but then the bigger step back.
Yeah, can you imagine if
wide,
Spielberg got his hands on like The Last Fight and like?
I think it's Scorsese.
I mean,
This
I have
kind of movie I
Scorsese,
wish
but
Scorsese
a
would've
co-director
made.
situation.
He
Co-director's
directs
fun.
Raging Bull a few years later. I mean,
Yeah.
the opera entrance into the ring is.
This is becoming one of my favorite categories. What role would Philip Seymour Hoffman have played?
Paulie
Paulie. I got Paulie.
or Gotzo's driver.
How about Jurgens?
Jerkins, maybe.
Yeah.
Gotzo's driver? Hey, Rock.
Hey, Rock, take her to the zoo.
Picking nits. So Rocky just waltzes into the Spectrum one day before the fight to look around. Just let him in.
He's on the fight. He's on the fight card. Hey, I'm Rocky Balboa. I'm fighting here tomorrow.
Goes all the way down to the Spectrum for just to go look at the things
I
hanging
think so.
down. It's a little weird.
No, it's not weird at all. You
Because
could go in there and fuck around with the ring to make sure that the ring is.
Nobody's in there. Nobody's setting up anything. It's just completely
1975.
empty.
It's like
Okay.
yeah.
This is my biggest one. 5 weeks, plenty of time to prepare to fight the heavyweight champion of the world. I don't feel like 40 guys are turning that fight down. They make it seem like, oh, not enough time. Nobody's going to take it. It's like,
Oh, I got the feeling
so
that
many people are taking that.
But Apollo picks Rocky for the specific story, right?
But he does.
No,
he
but he
does
does
that
a
only
lot of
because
guys.
everybody keeps turning the fight down.
Oh, okay.
I
Because
got
he's in England. It's like he can
Like,
get
would
back
you-
from England.
We
got
just
the
watched
feeling-
Macaulay take a fight in 10 hours.
And they actually say that in the movie. They go, this guy that goes, oh, he moved to California, he gained 50 pounds. So what? Bring him on and make the fight. I actually got the feeling that no one actually wanted to fight Creed.
Possible.
But 5 weeks is more than enough
For
time.
150 grand in 1976.
Andy
like,
Ruiz Jr. took the fight on basically
yeah,
that much.
I just
much
think
that
in
didn't
real
wonder.
boxing, people take it.
Yeah.
The string trick of putting string
gonna
around your
bring this
ankles, keep your balance, that seems like
It's also,
bullshit.
is that Mick's primary contribution aside from the cut man? Like, what else does Mick teach him?
This is something that I thought.
He gives him a string around his feet.
I'm willing to have the combo.
Apollo is a much better trainer than Mickey is.
Yeah.
Apollo is way
Yeah.
better. Apollo actually transforms Rocky. He changes Rocky. Apollo is a much better trainer than
Counter?
Mickey is.
Woman weak in legs. We learned that. Go to the body. You need better balance.
That's three things.
Stop smoking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rock's in a much better spot 5 weeks later
And
than
I
he
got
was
a
in the
guy who's
start.
going to open up your eyeball in the 14th
Yeah, got a great
round.
cut guy with a razor blade. Any other nitpicks for you guys?
There's that scene where Van talked about being quite moved by Rocky, doing the "Where were you 10 years ago" scene with Mick.
Mm-hmm.
And the blocking of that scene is kind of weird, but it's like, the doors are closing and opening and Mick's all the way down that hallway and then almost outside, and he still is hearing this speech that Rocky's giving, for the most part, at like regular speaking voice.
Yeah.
I can't hear my wife in the other room if the water is on, so there's no fucking way that Mick can hear this monologue halfway down the stairs.
76-year-old Mick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's been punched in the head 7,000 times in his life. There's no way. He'd be like, what?
My nitpick is somebody would have gotten to Adrian before this. There's just no way.
Oh.
In the neighborhood, someone would have gotten to her before
Fish store customer?
Fish store customer.
Coming in to buy some piranha?
Somebody coming in to buy the dog or something like that. Somebody would have gotten to her before
Well,
this.
there's a question. So Rocky and Paulie are best friends, and Rocky's like 29, 30?
It's 30, yeah.
It's the first time it occurred to him to make a run at the fish store girl?
Well, I think in the movie, it
sister?
seems like he's been going in a lot and making his, like, I make a joke in the morning and a joke in the afternoon, right?
And unfortunately, she can't communicate.
Yeah, until she takes her
She's
glasses
like,
off. And like, she's just like, let's smash.
Yeah.
I mean,
she gets it.
She really enjoyed it.
She changes. She starts dressing different.
She does.
The dick starts making her dress different.
Coat.
Like she starts. I'm telling you, she totally
She starts
changes her
spending
style.
money that he hasn't made yet.
Right.
She's like, I got a red coat. You better hand that ring.
That would have been a better hot steak for me. Here's why virginity is overrated.
Whoa.
Sequel, prequel, Prestige TV, All Black Cast, or Untouchable. They did them all. Pretty much all of those versions.
Prestige. They haven't done a TV adaptation of this universe yet, right?
Oh, you know what? They were going to, right? Wasn't there a television
honestly,
show
I feel like
of
we're
some
good.
sort of
We're
coming
good.
with the Creed in the Creed universe? No, am I making this up?
No, I mean, I think because this
We're
was
done with
bought
Rocky. Let's
by
stop.
Amazon in the MGM purchase.
Yeah.
And I think that they were going to do like the usual make it a universe kind of thing.
Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Doris Burke, Sam Jackson, Nell, Byron Mayo, Barney Cousins, Tony Romo, Harling Mays, Chris Collinsworth, Daniel Plainview, Longlegs, Wilford Brimley in The Firm? And I want to kind of add Gazzo's driver to this going forward. Take her to the zoo.
The movie is better with Gazzo's driver. I was going to say, oh, Mike, you see, you don't just have to take Adrienne to the zoo. She likes the ice rink too.
I miss Collinsworth.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 months for him. Tony Romo. She got a hop in her step, Jim. She loves having sex, Jim. She's a different lady. She's talking now.
This is a lady who loves exotic fish and sex with Rocky Balboa, Jim.
It's a sexual awakening, Jim.
It's making her feel things she's never felt before, Jim.
Just what Oscar? Who gets it?
I got Stallone for screenplay.
Okay. I think that's fair.
And this year,
Yeah. Probably unanswerable questions. Do women weaken legs, Van? Did we get a decision?
I was about to say, HBO did a whole thing. It was called Sex and the Sweet Science.
Yeah.
Where they did like a HBO Boxing did it back in the day. It might have been Showtime Boxing.
Was
Where
this like set in Vegas in the Bunny Ranch or whatever that show was? Where they merged the two shows?
All right, now it was called Cat House. But they talked about it and they got science guys together, and there's no scientific proof to it. Women do not, in fact, weaken legs.
What were the odds on FanDuel heading into this fight?
No, man. You'd have to.
I don't think it would go higher than minus 2,000, but I think Creed is minus 2,000.
So what were the Tyson Buster Douglas odds? Is this like 40
That
to
was
1?
like minus, yeah, that was like 30 to 1. That was the last time they were that high. So maybe 30 to 1 here. The over-under for rounds, I think is 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And people are banging the under.
Now, what
So this
happens
is where Gazzo gets involved.
Yeah.
This is where
Gazzo's
Gazzo
like, you
can
gotta
be
go
like,
3
look,
rounds.
you go out there, you can acquit yourself decently. The last 2 rounds, and then you got to go down.
Yeah.
What happens to the live odds once Apollo goes down in the first round?
I think after the second round, it's just hard. It's like Apollo is now like minus 400.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a lot of Rocky money. What piece of memorabilia would you want or not want from this movie?
I got to tell you, not a lot. There's not a lot of showering going on in this movie. So I don't really know what I would walk away with. I guess
the gloves would be cool from the fight.
gloves, yeah. Or Rocky's gloves, his little
Oh, his little training gloves?
The one where he's fucking bleeding all over them from punching the meat.
I really like the Italian Stallion gray sweatshirt he wears for 3 months straight, but I can't imagine it smells
you have
awesome.
to fucking fumigate it. Yeah.
I was looking at some of the Mickey, like the training camp, like pullovers they have and stuff like that. But
I think some of the posters outside of the gym would be cool.
Yeah, there's a poster in Juergens' office that I really liked.
Maybe the photo of Mickey when he was a younger fighter. That's all messed up. That's pretty cool.
It would be cool if you started having like every day me and Sean and Mal and Van had to put our shit in lockers, and then every once in a while we'd come in.
It's on Skid Row.
Put our shit on Skid Row.
He did like last week's podcast. Adrian's Joy of Sex book.
Oh.
Maybe that could be it.
Adrian's Kama Sutra.
She's like, chapter 5.
Yeah.
Adrian's like, how about some tantric? Yeah.
Adrian, weaken the legs.
Rock, lie this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Coach Finstock Award for Best Life Lesson. Don't let anyone tell you you're a bum.
Be a thinker, not a stinker.
Oh.
Mine was, you'd be happier if you were just dumber. Rock is a dumb, happy character.
Have you given up calling Ryan? Have we already
Yeah,
abandoned that
when
bit?
we went 0 for 5, it's just, he doesn't answer. He's a lets it ring and then calls back 10 minutes later guy.
It's fucking...
He's a full-time screener, even with people he knows.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
like
that's what he does.
You call Rosillo and
we could give him a heads up. We could text him and be like, hey, in about an hour, I'm going to call.
That wasn't the idea.
I know.
And he'll, it's always like he's always
I
lifting
would like
weights.
to know what he thinks of this, though.
Yeah.
Best double feature choice.
Right.
Would you go Rocky 2 or something else?
I go Raging Bull.
Oh.
I went Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, I like it.
This movie made me want to watch Saturday Night Fever for some reason.
What about you?
Yeah, what's yours?
Rocky 2.
Okay.
I think you have to go right from here into the second one. And then just make sure you skip over about 40 minutes when Adrian goes in a coma. And so does the audience. When we do Rocky 2 Rewatchables, it's going to be about 50 minutes.
It's my least favorite one.
But the last 25 minutes are great.
Yeah.
When do you stop counting Rocky movies? 4?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I like Rocky
Van
5.
likes 5.
Okay. Rocky 5 is the one with Tommy Morrison?
Tommy Morrison. I like Rocky 5.
It was 5 and then Balboa.
I despise 5, but I will admit that the last like 30 minutes of 5 is pretty good.
I gotta go see Rocky Balboa to see if Marie's in this fucking thing.
That's the whole, it's a huge part of the movie.
I've seen the movie before. I don't think that I connected that was the character from the first movie.
So who won the movie? Obviously Sly Stallone.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Have we ever had somebody win a movie harder than this? I feel like this might be the number one who won the movie ever. We would have said Tarantino, but Stallone, like as a writer and a star, and then
you're probably right.
It has to be Stallone, right?
You're probably right.
In fact, I would say we could rename it the Stallone Who Won the Movie Award, but like no one's ever really done this.
We've only seen, at least since I started following movies, which is right around when this movie came out, there's only been a couple of rags to riches stories like this with
There's
stars.
also not that even many times where like people have successfully like, I mean, like Stars Born, like where people are like, I'm directing this shit or I'm writing it and I'm starring in it and like I'm gonna learn to do something like sing.
That's the
or
problem.
box.
They're not gonna let you do this very often.
No.
You're gonna have such a serendipitous set of circumstances for them to let you write it, star in it when you're not bankable at all.
Tarantino is one, but he had True Romance before, so he at least had a foot in the door.
Chaz Palminteri kind of.
Tarantino was one
Chaz
for what?
Palminteri's
You talking about for Pulp?
Yeah, for Pulp.
Oh, I mean, he had Reservoir Dogs too.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. And he had Lawrence with him and all of that.
He had a foot in the door. Julia Roberts is another one, but she had Steel Magnolias and she was in Mystic Pizza. And she was around and I knew who it was.
Mm-hmm.
This was just for somebody to come out of nowhere and immediately become an A+ list star.
I am really racking. I'm trying to think. I can't. I legitimately
You go
can't
Pacino
think.
in The Godfather, maybe, but he'd even done Panic in Needle
Pacino
Park.
was already in Panic in Needle Park
Yeah.
and stuff. Like he was a big deal.
Yeah, I can't. Certainly not in the
It's
last
like
30
it's
years.
nowhere near the accomplishment. And even I was going to say Orson Welles doing like Citizen Kane, but he was already considered a boy genius, like coming out of like radio plays and like his theater company. Like he had already done War of the Worlds on radio.
Did you say Charles Holmes on Midnight Boys? Beep, beep.
That's a big one. Hey man, respect the pew pew.
It's pew pew.
We're gonna start fucking over your shit. Watch.
Yeah. Well,
When we start fucking over your shit, that's when you're gonna take it seriously.
Where did the pew pew come from?
laser guns.
I was like, yeah, we're the Midnight Boys. We're like gunslingers.
Right. Yeah.
We're instant reaction. So we just shoot from the hip. Pew pew.
Maybe we'll do beep beep for us, Sierra.
Okay, for the rewatchables. Beep, beep.
Rewatchables. Beep.
They see our beep beep. All right, that's it. So now we've done 3 Rockies.
Yeah.
The only one, and we've done Creed. So we've actually, I guess, done 4 Rockies.
Creed 3, 4, and 1.
Because people always asked why we didn't do Rocky yet, even though we'd done 3 and 4. I actually think that we handled it perfectly. 3, 4, 1 is the prequel, and kind of end with 2, which is the least rewatchable of the 4.
Did you see Creed 3?
I did.
Thoughts?
I thought Majors was really good.
He's really good in everything.
He was really good. And I think I liked it more than I liked Creed 2.
I can't even remember Creed 2. Creed 2 was with the Russian. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't even remember.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't remember too
Lundgren's
much.
kid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's time for the franchise now that we're at 50 years.
What we need,
It's
if you
funny
want
that
to
it's
do something
outlived CR.
with,
Because you're not 50.
Nope.
So this franchise is
I
older
was
than you
born
are.
2 years before I was born. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they shot it 2 years before I was born. I was going to say that what they need to do is get back to what makes this story so meaningful is that it's a guy out of nowhere. And you can't do that if it's like it's Apollo Creed's son.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there
know?
is a move left that the Shields movie, which I really liked, but there's a female Rocky angle that they could do if they wanted to flip it. Basically do all the same stuff and have it be, and have Paulie be the sister. But nobody wants that. Like, just come up with your own movie.
We're probably too cynical for Rocky now. We want, to me, like, looking at it like this, you're just going to ask so many questions. Like, why didn't he fight amateurs? Like, what, blah, 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 blah. Like a guy with 21 losses
Yeah.
becoming like, it's just.
Could you do a Rocky that was basically UFC? I guess that's Warrior.
Yeah. I mean, but even with Creed.
I mean, you could. UFC's sitting there. It's weird. There just hasn't been enough UFC movie content at a high level. Warrior is by far the best one. But yeah, I guess you could do Rocky UFC. But
I mean, yeah, I guess you could. Like, I don't know if the UFC
or you
guys,
make this more of an erotic thriller with Adrian's. It's built around Adrian's Awakening.
That's the movie.
That's
Is
it.
that what you would call it?
Adrian's Awakening.
Adrian's Awakening.
And actually,
a new way to look at the Rocky series.
I got it. A different movie where, what's the mafia guy named Gazzo?
Yeah.
Where he actually hires Adrian to weaken Rocky's legs.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that it.
So some like they're trying to have, or maybe not him, maybe Apollo hires Adrian. Her awakening is because Rocky needs his legs weakened in the movie. That's the second one.
There's a brief twinkle in her eye when Clubber Lang is calling her out in Rocky 3.
Oh, she liked it.
You could see for 1 second she's like, "Oh,
She's like, maybe I'm a dark shark.
Clubber."
She likes
Clubber noticed me.
I thought only one guy sang doo-wop. Turns out.
I've been waiting for Clubber to look my way.
Yeah, she liked it.
Rocky, so your rankings are still 3, 4, 1, 2, or 3, 1, 4, 2.
3, 1.
3, 1, 4, 2 for you.
3, 1, 4, 2.
What do you have, Van?
I go 3, 4, 1, 5, 2.
5
You
over
hate
2.
2 that much.
I don't like 2. I don't like 2. 2 is my least. 2 is my least watched Rocky movie.
It's a really fun
I
coming
like
in
that
30
they're
minutes
like,
left.
we gotta
movie.
rush in and do this. Like, we gotta make it. This movie starts the second the first one ends.
To me, it's the least original of the Rocky movies.
I'll say
Even
this.
5 is original because Rocky is now fallen off of his perch.
Yeah.
4 is original Cold War stuff. 3 is the leap of the Rocky franchise. 2 is like a continuation of 1, and 1 is just superior.
I saw Rocky 2 in the theater with my best friend. Crowd standing during the
Non-whites.
fight scene.
Of course.
Like, that's the only time I've ever seen the movie
Some
theater.
non-whites.
People going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, it was like they were at like a fucking Patriots game. It
Like,
was
yeah,
nuts.
In Boston,
Yeah.
they probably run out and harass some kids.
Jesus, come on.
They probably run out. Hey, salty motherfucker! We'll show you Mulian.
I knew I shouldn't have brought up that story. Well, we won't invite you on the Rocky 2 pod.
Shout out to Dedham.
But
Yeah.
when we do Adrian's Awakening, you're there.
I'm there, of course.
All right.
Of course.
Vance, yeah, great to see you. Thanks to Jack Sanders as well. Shout out to Craig Horlbeck, who wasn't there this time around for us, but we got the Ringer Movies YouTube channel as well. So you can check us out there. See you next week.